Hello, 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 my beautiful empresses. Welcome back. Or if it's your first time here, welcome. This is Embody Your Empress, the place you want to be if you are spiritually awakening, spiritually desiring to open up your perspectives, or just looking for something a little bit different in life and seeing if it's for you out there. My name's Sarah King. I'm the host of this podcast, Embody Your Empress, and the founder of Empress Nation. And we have an incredible guest joining us today. We have a woman who is catalyzing transformation. She's a master healer, an ego deaf doula, a teacher, and co-founder of Seeds of Bliss. So after over 10,000 healing sessions, beautiful, Anni Eza is here to share her wise wisdom with us today. Welcome.
It's happy to be here. I'm so happy to be here. I'm very glad to meet you.
You
I love
too.
your spirit and your vibe, Sarah. And hi,
Oh,
everyone.
that's such a beautiful way to start. I love that. No one ever says that to me. Thank you. Annie, I would love to hear more about who you are as a human, as a soul, and how you came to be on this mission, doing this beautiful, very, very important work that you do.
Okay. As a human, I'm mostly a soul, if I may say that.
Beautiful.
Uh, those two things, the human aspect and the soul aspect, are very mingled in my life. So I cannot really distinguish where human starts and stops and where the soul takes over. They're very intertwined. Um, so to give you a bit of background information about me, I was always intuitive since I was a child. I could sense and see and feel things in the realm of the unseen, if I may say so, because nothing is unseen for me. We are all intuitive. We all have access to the same information. I do. We're just in denial because we're afraid. And this very often makes me wonder. We say that the unknown is our biggest fear. But even if we get to know things, we feel scared and we contract. We step back. So, what do we fear most? The unknown or the known?
Oh my
Is
gosh,
it
that is so true though, right? Because I know
is it
sometimes I know, and I am literally like this. I don't want to know anymore.
yeah, I can feel that, I can understand that. And this was one of my first experiences in this life because I could understand people's inconvenience, the adults around me as a child, with the unknown. They were trying to control everything. And then when I shared things, they silenced me. So it was like, what are you doing, man? Are you serious? Do you want to know or not? What's the matter with you? So I could sense and feel things very naturally. It wasn't scary for me. It was who I was and who I am. But I couldn't share openly because people were freaking out. So I had to silence myself. I had to hold back. But the information kept coming through me because it's not like, you know, something that I can switch it off and on. It's there, it's activated, and it flows. It does its own job. So I spent decades with this inner knowing that had no outlet to be expressed. And I felt frustrated because I felt rejected. But what happened on the inside was that all this information and this capability, this skill was growing in me. So when my grandma passed, my dad's mother, the floodgates were open, and I was able to express myself in a very different way that was well perceived by the people around me, because I was an adult by that time, and it was very mature within me, like it was fermented within me. It was altered, and I found a way to express what I feel and see and sense. Of course, not everything to everyone, you know. I was more able also to understand the level of acceptance of each person, so I could share what is not too much for them.
Mm.
And this is where it came back in a more, hmm, I don't know how to put it. It's not acceptable. It's not more easy to use. Like it was more society friendly.
Mm. More relatable, maybe?
Yeah,
People could
maybe.
relate to it, and I don't know, more openness to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my backstory from childhood to adulthood. And then I started my own personal healing journey, which I really love. It's the only never-ending journey, the journey inwards. And my healer back then, my first healer, was insisting that I should be trained to become a healer because I would be an exquisite healer. Of course, back then I could not understand anything. I went out of curiosity to my first healing training because I'm very curious, like that. You know, I love experimenting. I love trying things out. I love keeping what works, ditching what doesn't, and move forward. This is, if you want a phrase for the story of my life, this is it. And after the healing training, people started coming to me for my professional advice. I was always the friend that my friends were coming to were when things were very entangled, very strange, very difficult in terms of solutions and choices. But it was the first time I was in the professional path of being a healer. And the rest fell into place naturally. And the more I walk into this path, the more stages of awakening, levels of awakening I'm experiencing, because there is no final version of ourselves. The more we poke, the more we dig, the more gold we will find.
It's such a beautiful thing to acknowledge, because I know when I was at the start of my awakening, I'm like, okay, we're going to go into this dark night of the soul. Everything's going to fall apart, burn to the ground. And then I will be A-okay. I will be like vibing high, having the best time for the rest of my life. And then a good friend of mine who was mentoring me at the time, she was just like, okay, Sarah, we need to have a chat. Now that you've opened the door, it's not just a one and done kind of thing. And I'm like, what do you mean? I was shocked. I'm like, no, it feels horrible right now. I want to get to the good place everyone seems to be so excited to be at. And then she's just like, yeah, that comes after you do the work. And then you'll enjoy that a little bit. And then there will be a new experience, which will take you deeper, unshed some more layers. It might be different, it might be the same, and you just never know when that's going to come, how far, how deep you're going to go into it. You just, after the first one, you know you're going to come out the other side, and it is the cycle. And then you come to learn that's life, right? That's what we're here for. I was so ignorant. I was just like, no, no, no.
Exactly. This is the I think this is the main lesson that we learn, because everything goes into cycles. It's about how to navigate the dark parts of life and get ourselves to the other side. Because the first time we do it, it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna die here. I'm sure I won't make it.
Is it like
But it's
it
not
is so
like that.
difficult? Yeah. What is this thing? Spiritual people that they talk about being half alive and all these cool fluffy things. And I like it now that more people are being really honest and going to really get to know yourself on the deepest level, on a soul level, to connect in, is to know there is darkness with the light and they can coexist together, and you can't have one without the other.
I totally agree with you on that. We are like night skies, we need the darkness in order for our stars to shine bright. And we are trained to only expect and accept the pleasant aspects of life, the pleasant emotions, the pleasant experiences. This is the light, the so-called light. And I'm so sick and tired observing this obsession in the spiritual world and the healing world with that light. We are all love and light. No, you're not love and light. You're a human being. You're organized around duality. And this is how it is. You can choose to accept it or neglect it, but please be conscious and aware that if you neglect duality, then you're doomed on this earth. You're going nowhere, you're not evolving, you're just flattering yourself, tapping on your own shoulder, saying how great you're doing, but you're doing nothing because you're like a rootless tree. The slightest breeze will uproot you and bring you to the ground because you're not stable. Our roots grow in the darkness. This is why I'm so madly in love with the darkness. The grief portal, the womb. Grief is the womb, is the existential chrysalis. We are wrapped up in this cocoon of grief and darkness, and we are growing our wings inside. And growing wings is rather painful.
And when you're in that moment, you don't know when it will end, if it will end. You just have to trust the process, right? Trust the
Yeah, the
darkness.
first time is excruciating.
Mm,
I can double down on that.
yeah.
And I have had so many experiences like those in my life. And the main skill I earned from those experiences is to perceive life for the duality it holds. Like there's light, which is easy and pleasant. There's darkness, which is very provoking and challenging, but it holds your potential and the highest rewards that you can ever gain. And you get to walk on that bridge, bridging those two together. This is real happiness for me.
Yeah.
Although when I take a walk on the wild dark side, it's always painful, but I have learned to navigate pain, to accept it actually. This is how we navigate pain. We sit still and let it unfold and flow.
What what would you say to the people out there that get lost in the dark, who stay in the pain, who don't bridge across, they just continue on that one side?
There are many reasons why someone can get lost. First of all, they cannot bring the pieces together and make the connections. And it's not their fault. We're not trained. As I said before, we're trained to the pleasant side of life. We don't want to be open and speak honestly about uncomfortable emotions, uncomfortable situations. Our culture wants us always smiling happily, like we're advertising a toothpaste or a toothbrush or something like that.
It's so true, though. It is so true. If you don't look happy, you don't look pleasant, you will get a comment from someone. I've had it myself many times. Usually I'm just deep in thought and my face is blank. And I've had random strangers say, would it be too hard to smile? Usually of an older generational male, to be
Mm,
like very stereotypical. However, that is true. Yeah.
yeah, I believe you. So they get lost in there because they are missing the navigation tools, the existential GPS, which is there, but it's dormant. And the other thing is that I will try to explain it, but it's more because it's a feeling, like a sensation. It's hard to put it into words. I will give it a go though, because I think it's worth it. Pain has a very particular liberation aspect, and it's like the catharsis stage, and it can create a loop because the first time we experience pain, either by choice or because life drops us in it, and we're not in a place to hold our defenses up. So we get into that and we feel it, either because it's too much or because we are tired resisting difficult emotions. It doesn't matter, but we are in the pool of pain. So we feel this liberation because it opens us up. There's no other feeling that can open you up like pain and grief. You're open to receive life, and it can be paralyzing or addictive because our subconscious mind might associate this liberation, this opening, with that stage, which is not true. And as we were hunting the highs before, now we're hunting the lows. And I think this pattern is mostly common in people that are addicted to the highs before they go into the lows. Then they get addicted to the lows for a period of time, but they will seek the way out eventually.
It's our human nature, right? That
Yeah.
eventually the crack will come and the light will start to filter through. I was speaking with someone the other day who has had a very grief filled year, and they hadn't realized how much the grief was weighing on their heart. It was very evident by their face. However, for them, they hadn't really felt permission to truly feel it because it wasn't the loss of a human, it was a loss of a beautiful animal, their loved, cherished pet. It was a loss of the way their career looked, and it was also a loss of a relationship, all combined. And they said, I felt like I just couldn't be sad about it anymore because the world kept going and everyone expected me just to keep going too. So they had completely repressed and bypassed being in the feeling, the experiencing the pain of grief because our society was like, we've already run down the pathway, come and keep up. And I was really sad about that because grief is such a human emotion, which is so powerful. Like it highlights, so, when you truly feel your grief, it highlights so many things. It, for me, especially like gratitude for whatever it is that I had lost to have experienced in the first place. And I would love to see our society place more value on holding the space for people when they are grieving, when they are feeling the pain of loss, whatever loss that may be, and for us to stop putting it in the box of you can only really be grieving if you've lost a human soul. Yeah.
We are allowed to be grieving even if we are shedding past versions of ourselves, because this is the ultimate grief. And it it's inflicting so much pain because we are stretched, we are growing. When we lose someone, it's a slightly different case because we can step more easily from grief to abundance to the blessing of the experience. I get to lose you only because I have met you and we have shared so many moments together and we have lived so many experiences together. And my heart is breaking because I will never see you again in your physical form. It's not to simplify grief or decrease the importance of it, but I feel the most crushing form of grief is the existential grief. When we grow,
Yeah.
when we shed skin. And it's not for nothing that this person you mentioned had a year full of grief. 2025 was all about shedding, closing cycles. It's an ending year. So we shed situations, identities, cycles that are not for our highest and best. And another thing we need a huge amount of training on is how to let go with grace, how to shed, because it's normal. Look at nature. Every autumn it sheds.
Yep. But we, like you said earlier, the control. We love to try and control every situation. And when we are in that moment and it feels so big and so massive, we try and cling to any little part that we can, right? I'm not like the surrender. Surrendering is the ultimate for me, the ultimate challenge. Every time I think I'm like, I can just let it unfold, I'm tested and challenged on it once again.
Yeah, because control is very connected with our self-preservation instinct. And especially for people that, myself included, that were brought up in households where emotional stability was not in their everyday life. So they don't have that caregiver that is their safe space. Then we learn to control things. We learn to predict things in order to stay safe in case of emergency. And the more you let go, the more deep you can go into yourself. And there's always more to let go of. There's always the next level of surrendering to master. It's never enough.
Never enough. And we keep
Yeah.
going and surrendering and in the cycle, and it is all beautiful however it plays out. I love that we're not alone on this journey. We're not alone, even though at times it may feel like we're really isolated and alone and the only one in the whole world of billions of people going through this process of shedding our skin. We actually aren't. As a collective, we're moving through, as you said, this year for most of us have been a year of shedding and change and bringing in new for another cycle to begin. And that's a really beautiful point to make is that when you are feeling alone, that there are people like yourself to reach out to and work with and guide you on this journey and this process.
Yeah, of course, we're never alone. And one of my teachers once told me that when you feel alone, always remember that you're in your own company and you're the most important person in your life.
That's so sweet. Isn't it heartwarming? Yeah.
Yeah. And we are the most important person in our lives because we are the only person that we cannot get rid of.
Mm.
We can kick people out of our lives. We can get divorced with our partners. Uh, we can stop talking to our family or kids or friends. But when it comes to ourselves, it's not that easy. You have to make this relationship work because you're stuck with you until the day you die. You have no choice.
So some people don't like themselves. Where can they start? That's a big
Okay.
question.
Yeah, that's a tricky question because it needs guidance.
Mm.
I can imagine 1,000 things that can go wrong because you could end up into a rabbit hole with that question without proper guidance. If someone doesn't like themselves, it means that they already have a strong inner critic. It's always yelling inside their head about what they're doing wrong and how they are a failure and stuff like that. So, how to beat that voice? You need support. You need professional guidance, in my opinion. So, the first step is to find a healer professional that can accompany you, standing in their own integrity, of course. Be sure that they are supervised. Be sure that they are also receiving healing from someone else, not self healing crappy things, because there's no such thing.
Mm-hmm.
If I heal myself, how can I be the provider and the receiver? At the same time, when I'm digging into the most painful things that have happened in my life, how will I be sure that I bend and crack my ego so that I do not project my own trauma and misperceptions on you? So make sure that they are supervised, that they are well trained, and that they are receiving healing from others, not themselves. And ask openly. Ask them. You will know from their reaction, from the body language, if they're lying or not.
Absolutely. And it's okay to search for that person you have the connection with. You don't just have to find the first person that comes along. Like, because what you share is so deeply personal. It is all of you
Yeah,
without the mask on. So to have that relationship with someone where you feel safe and comfortable, to me, is the most important. Yeah.
yeah, that's very important because it's all about emotional intimacy. Would you have sex with anyone? No. You have some criteria. It's the same with every personal relationship, the same with your relationship with your healer. It needs chemistry,
Mm.
it needs safety to
It
grow.
does. Yeah, it does. That's interesting, isn't it? I love that. It needs chemistry very much and integrity. Yeah, from both sides. Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. Oh, Annie, like, I love the way that you just speak into healing. The way you were talking about it before, for me, it reminded me people just, if they're sick, they go to a doctor. So when we are emotionally unwell, Why don't we reach out to our healers straight away? As society, I would love for it to be our natural go-to. We're moving into the darkness. Let me be supported by the people who know, by the people who have journeyed there and back, who know how to hold me in the safe way so I can move through this without harm, without damaging myself. Because a lot of people do take it on themselves or look for the quick fixes, right? Which are more the
Oh
band.
my God. Oh my God. Quick
Yeah.
fixes. You said the word terrifying thing. It makes my stomach shrink as I hear it.
Tell
Because
me more.
why would we seek a quick fix? It's like having an existential one night stand with yourself. Why would you do that? Please take yourself seriously and go deep because you're a treasure chest. You're sitting on a gold mine and you're unaware of it. And your only hope to discover that gold that is within you is to go deep in yourself. It all comes from this quick fix culture is coming from the hustle and bustle culture of the Western
Mhm.
civilization, God forbid. Um,
Love the air quotes.
yeah, we're not civilized. Of course, we're not civilized. We are so disconnected from nature, from our cycles. We don't respect anything. The whole universe is organized in cycles, and we're pushing through because it makes sense to us to live a linear life. I don't know where that came from. And although it's failing big time, it
It is.
causes an unfathomable amount of issues in people's lives. We reproduce it. We use it still. We fail to be taught from our experience. And that's a shame. But I will go back to the quick fix culture. It's also about this obsession with being pleasant, being well, or seem like you're well, words to be accepted. So we want a band-aid, but you need a surgery.
Yeah, me too.
Otherwise, you won't survive. And I mean, literally, you won't survive. You will have autoimmune diseases and cancer and all kinds of stuff very soon in your life, and you will end up dead because you're suppressing so much inside your body. You stuff it with so many emotions that, yeah, they're unpleasant, but on the other hand, they are meant to flow. Emotions are like water, they are constantly changing. I see you here today, and we have such a wonderful conversation, and I'm enlightened, and I feel my heart blossoming, and then something else will happen, and I might end up in grief again. But that's life. Let's make peace with that. Let's normalize the cycle. It's not linear, for God's sake. It's not linear. Nothing is linear about our existence. So quick fix is not a thing. It was infused in our lives by Western medicine, which is another distorted and perverted culture, because it wants repetitive clients. They're not working on your health. They're working on how to hook you and make you a client. So they treat the symptom instead of the root cause.
Mhm. Again, that's just another cycle we get trapped in, and then you get on that loop. Feeling feelings is something I love doing now. For years, I never allowed myself to feel anger, like fully embody the anger. And then I had a situation that was just like, right, Sarah, you're going in. And it was honestly, it was the best experience, Annie. My full body, every single cell was on fire. I was on fire. I was a furnace. And I was just like, wow. And it was empowering. It was so empowering. And I didn't stay with the anger. I moved my body, I moved it through, I felt it for what it was, and it felt so bloody good. It felt so good. And I went, why have I never allowed myself to feel angry about experiences or situations or the feeling when it comes up? I've always pushed it aside, labeled it as bad. It's a bad feeling. I don't want to feel that. I was quite happy to sit there and cry my eyes out for days on end. That felt comfortable to me. That felt really comfortable. Being angry didn't feel comfortable. It didn't feel safe. And when I got to the point where I felt safe, everything changed for me, because when I felt all of the other emotions, I felt them all with passion for what they were, and then I could integrate them. And it was such a game changer.
Yeah, I believe you. And I can double down on that because I was not allowing myself to feel the grief, the sadness, the anger, all the unpleasant emotions. I was trained like that as a child because I was a good child when I was the pleasant child, not asking questions, not triggering adults around me. And I was silenced in so many ways. Of course, it's not because we accuse our parents. They did their best back then.
Mm-hmm.
That's who they were. They did everything out of love, but it doesn't mean that it was the best fit for me. They are two separate things. We can give our parents credit for what they tried to do because each and every one of us is really doing their best at any given moment from our standpoint. And then I take responsibility for myself and I do the work to liberate myself from all the conditioning that happened to me through family, through lineage, through education, through society, because it's my own responsibility to be free. And if you ask me, there's no such um, pleasure as freedom.
Mm. Yes, yes. And it is our responsibility, no one else. Beautiful. Thank you, Annie. I have 3 Empress questions to round out our conversation with today. So I would love to know, how do you embody your Empress?
Okay, my Empress identity is the Queen of Death and Grief. So I embody that by following the flow. I'm all about flowing. And it's not always easy because sometimes between this level and the next one, there's a glass ceiling and I have to get through it. And it needs a handful of work to be done.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And what does your Empress energy feel like for you?
Hmm, very interesting question. I have an image for that.
Yeah.
It's like shadow and light dancing together.
Oh, that is beautiful. Shadow and light dancing together. Absolutely stunning. And our last question, what are your parting words of wisdom for inspiring your nation?
Come again with that one because I didn't hear you well.
What are your parting words of wisdom for inspiring your nation?
Okay, let me choose one quote. Let me feel what would be appropriate here. Hmm. Okay, we are always free to choose the life we live. And the real freedom begins the moment we become aware of it.
It's beautiful. That is beautiful. And so true. It rings so true. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today, Annie. Your words of wisdom really struck a chord. There are so many things that we talked about today that I know are going to be helping someone listen. And if they have landed for you in your heart out there and you know someone who's going to benefit, make sure you share this episode with them, because the more that we share these words, the more that we speak about these things, the more we normalize just who we are as humans and how we live our lives and the beautiful soul work that we're doing. Thank you so much, Annie. It's been a pleasure having you on Embody Your Empress.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me.